An action-packed race one yesterday here at Watkins Glen saw Colin Garrett emerge ahead of his TCX class title rival Jacob Rude, while it was a day to remember for the Mini JCW team as they honored Mini legend Patty Hopkins with class wins in both TC and TCA. Today the battle resumes with over 30 touring cars set to take the green in round 8 of the TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School season. Hello everyone, welcome to Watkins Glen International and round number 8 of the TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School season. We're about to turn this field loose here in just a few moments, so let's go trackside for the command to start engines.
As we get ready for race number 2 here at Watkins Glen to benefit the Prairie School out of Wisconsin, we have Douglas and Kieran Shrimp to give the best words in motorsports to get this race started.
Drivers, start your engines.
And with that, the field of touring cars roars to life. 3 classes, TCX, TC, and TCA, about to go for 40 minutes in a sprint to the checkered flag. What a duel it has become at the front of this TCX field. Jacob Rude, who you see right here, the reigning champion, and the newcomer who will start to his outside, the winner in race 1 yesterday, Colin Garrett.
Oh, what a spectacular race Jacob Rude had yesterday. Had the lead, had the pole, and then he had a tire deflating, had a hit pit lane, got lucky with a full course yellow, then drove through the field and had the pressure on Colin Garrett by the end of the race once again.
Fantastic stuff in the TCX class, which continues to grow from event to event. Meanwhile, in TC, we mentioned what a day it was for the Mini team. Clay Williams came out on top. Another big day for him in this TC Spec Mini that is starting to find its feet, it appears, at the midway point of the season.
It really has. I mean, he's had a lot of pace this year. He's had a few issues getting to the finish line. But yesterday, Kevin Boehm, though, I mean, championship leader coming into the race yesterday with 5 wins on the year, finishes second and just continues to execute, maximizing his point score, and that's how championships are built.
And in TCA, it was Christian Pericarpi surviving some chaos. He comes home with his first career win. As we take a look at the starting grid, Jacob Rude and Colin Garrett on the front row, Lucas Catania, the hometown kid, and Stephen Cugliari starting in row 2. Steve Strymer, the West Coaster, making the trip out to New England. He will start in the 5th spot with Garrett Adams alongside. Brett Scroggin and Olivia Askew make up row 4, while Joseph Catania and Jessica Tracy are in row 5. Then we get back to the TC grid where Clay Williams, by virtue of setting the fastest lap of the race yesterday, will start on pole. Jeff Rika had some issues but showed good speed. He'll start second. Matt Ibrahim has been strong as of late. He starts third with Nicholas Barbado in the Gin Racer Hyundai in the 4th spot in class. Kevin Boehm, the points leader, persevered for a podium yesterday. He'll start 5th today alongside Chris Valdez. Ken Fukuda and Celso Nato, who makes his debut this week, can start behind them, and Matt Pombo at the back of the TC field. Then we go to the TCA class where Spencer Bucknam starts on pole. He'll have Gresham Wagner next to him. Christian Pericarpio winner yesterday, and PJ Gronke, who had a great run a day ago, he will start 4th. Devin Anderson and Xiao Yi Che, the teammates from Tech Sport, start in the 3rd row of the TCA class. Carter Fartuk, the championship leader, mired all the way back in 7th. He'll have his teammate Colin Harrison next to him. Tyler Delgado and Sally McNulty in the next row with Mike Lamara at the back of the field. It's a thrilling race format. Not much conservation going on in TC America powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. You've got 40 minutes to get to the front.
Yeah, it's full attack mode. That's what makes it fun. Through 3 very competitive classes. We saw a brilliant race yesterday develop, and we talked about Jacob Rude making that remarkable comeback run to finish on the podium and almost grab the win. So we look for those 2 guys, Garrett and Rude, to really re-establish themselves at the front of the pack. They've got quite a margin, it seems, this weekend over the rest of the field. They were separated by just 0.05 of a second in terms of fastest lap here yesterday, with Rude just pipping Garrett to the pole position.
You see the conditions here, 38 degrees Celsius. That's about 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That's considerably cooler than race conditions yesterday. The humidity is up, however. How will those different conditions affect these race cars?
Well, it's certainly an adjustment. I mean, you should have a bit more grip to play with. You may be able to be a bit more aggressive with your tires because of these slightly cooler conditions. A little bit of cloud cover too, so all to play for, but I don't think it's going to be a massive difference. It's just a little bit easier to breathe inside the cockpit.
Yeah, Kevin Boehm told us yesterday that he had cockpit temperatures up to 115 degrees. That is not comfortable, to say the least, so everyone welcoming this reprieve as far as the temperature is concerned in day 2 of the weekend today. Let's talk racetrack. You see here the famous S's, such elevation change, high speed, high commitment, and that's true all the way around this track.
Yeah, you really have to thread the needle up through this sector, and it really punches a big hole in the air, so you get a massive draft effect as you're climbing the hill, and then you break out into this back straight, and then it's all about who can be the bravest into the brake zone for the inner loop. But massive elevation change around this circuit, lots of grip to play with, and that's where the tire management does come in a little bit. But with the shortness of this race, sprint race only 40 minutes long, we shouldn't anticipate any big drama today.
The grip level is something drivers always talk about when they come here. It's been a while since the repave happened, but it seems like that grip has stayed very consistent, and the track surface has remained smooth in the 5 years or so since the repave occurred.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's because Corning Glass is in the vicinity, whether it's got that smoothness that you appreciate there, but no, it does. I mean, the track has been quick this weekend. I mean, teams who have tested it said we've come back and it's like track got more grip. I'm not quite understanding why, but certainly been a lot of really fast lap times here this weekend.
It's a great venue, and it puts on really good racing, especially in the touring car classes where horsepower may not be in abundance, but action is. Everyone always bunched together. You don't have a ton of dependence on aerodynamics either, and it leads to really close competitive racing. And that's why it is a surprise when you see someone with a decided advantage. And in the TC class yesterday, that was the case. Clay Williams has had the edge all weekend in that Mini.
Yeah, I mean, he was clear of the rest of the field by about half a second. So unless something is big changing with some of the other cars' setups, expect him to maybe continue that trend here today. But this is where there's going to be a massive battle at the front of this TCX field. TCX is dominated by the BMW M2 CS Cup cars. So you can come out on top here today. Championship definitely on the line here a little bit. I mean, Garrett really needs to eat into that championship lead that Ruud has. And if he could sweep the weekend, that would be a long way towards attaining that.
Well, we shall see. It was a great day yesterday for Ruud to salvage a second place when all appeared lost. They had the yellow flag come out at just the right time, and that gave him a chance to challenge for the lead. He should be able to do so again, starting on pole for the second consecutive day. Can he keep that car out in front? We're about to find out as the TCX field comes through the VP acceleration zone and prepares to take the green flag for race number 8 of the season. The front row, Ruud and Garrett, side by side as they have been so often this season. Ruud starts to accelerate and Garrett stays right there with him on his flank. It will be side by side for the lead for the first time into one.
Yeah, he's going to have to give it up, Garrett, on the outside here. Ruud's going to run a little bit wide there. He uses all of the curb. But I think Ruud's going to clear him by the time they turn in.
It stays clean at the front of the TCX field. Back to TC now, where Williams jumps on the power and pulls away of Jeff Rika in the Gin Racer Hyundai, starting there in the second spot. But the Hyundai in this part of the rev band looks very strong, pulling even into the braking zone. Williams, though, able to clear him at the exit of the first corner. Now to the TCA start. Look at Carter Fartuk from way back in the field. He's going to grab a couple of spots from the Tech Sport teammates and challenge for another one.
Yeah, he realized he's got to try and make hay while the sun shines here at the beginning of this race. Doesn't seem to have the pace in his race car this weekend, so he's got to try and get that track position early.
Pulls to the inside of the red Mini of PJ Gronke. Gronke able to edge ahead ever so slightly, so now it's Devin Anderson, who had the misfortune yesterday battling with Fartuk, and he'll grab that spot back.
Yeah, certainly saw some tire issues with those Subarus here yesterday. I'm sure they had to make some adjustments overnight.
Change in position. Jacob Ruud, the pole sitter, has dropped down to third. That has allowed Garrett to get to the lead, and Lucas Catania has now jumped to second.
Well, I'm assuming that Garrett may have got the toe up through the S's and maybe made a move into the inner loop, and that opened up the door potentially for Catania to suddenly slide his car into second. Just speculation at this point, but Garrett has the track position. He's got a buffer as well between he and Jacob Ruud, the championship leader.
We talked about it some yesterday. Garrett probably felt like at the halfway point in the race, this is going to be a great day for me in the points with the misfortune for Ruud. That got turned on its head when the yellow came out. The class split occurred and brought Ruud right back to the pack. And next thing you know, by the end of the race, Ruud's right there on his bumper again. This is how the move was made.
Oh, he's cleared him already. So up the hill, obviously, Jacob Ruud did not get a good run through there. So as we saw them tails away leading into the S's, it looked like a side-by-side action between Ruud and Garrett. And Gugliari has a look at Ruud as well. That was really tight.
Yes, it was. Ruud said absolutely not and shut the door in the face of Gugliari, as is his right. And he runs now third, looking to recover after being shuffled back on the opening lap.
Well, he had to do a lot of recovery yesterday. Let's see if he's got the pace in his race car. We saw yesterday, beginning of the race, he was struggling for balance, but then he had that deflating tire, which we assumed was the reason. Once he got a fresh tire put on the car, he had amazing pace to climb back through the field.
Here we go in the TC battle. Kevin Bohm in the center of the screen. The CrowdStrike-sponsored Honda Civic. That's the points leader. He runs in third. It's not been the best of weekends from an outright pace perspective, but Kevin Bohm is the master of making the best of any given weekend, and he's done that so far.
Ibrahim, though, has got a big run here with that BMW as they climb up through the S's and hit that back straightaway. Clay Williams looking particularly comfortable out front, displaying the pace that he had here yesterday.
Ibrahim to the outside of Bohm. Can Bohm fight back? He cannot. He has to relinquish that position to the Californian, Matt Ibrahim, who now finds himself running in contention for a podium finish.
Fukuda's having a great run here. Now I think this is Spencer Bucknam is in a battle.
Yeah, this is, I think, for the lead in TCA. That would be Bucknam giving way to Gresham Wagner, who has raced his way up to the front.
We said those Subarus here yesterday were having some tire issues, so I'm sure they had to make massive adjustments overnight to make sure they survive this race here today. High energy racetrack. You really got to be careful how much you're asking from these tires, even though it's only a 40-minute sprint race.
It's been feast or famine for Gresham Wagner this season. He has 4 finishes of second or better as we see Ruud going back on the attack. Look at this, 3 wide here for the lead in TCX. Catania to the outside, Garrett in the middle, and Ruud on the inside. This is about to get spicy.
It is, and Garrett's just trying to time when he turns in. He can't turn in too early. He's got to wait for Ruud. That compromised his speed through turn 1.
Brilliant stuff from Jacob Ruud to go from third to the lead. Gugliari wants a piece of this action too. He's right there, knocking on the bumper of the erstwhile race leader, Colin Garrett.
Heads up driving there by Garrett. You can see Catania's car getting a little bit looser as he had to tighten his hands up through the high-speed S's.
Gugliari got held up. Now Steve Strymer has swept through. He's going to grab the 4th spot, the native of Portland, Oregon. Having another good run in the Hard Motorsports operations car.
This is spicy. This is what we were hoping from TCX. I mean, Ruud had such a dominating season last year. Certainly came under pressure from Gugliari a couple of the events, but a lot more competition this year.
Garrett flashing those headlights. He wants to take that 2nd spot back from Catania. This is home field advantage perhaps for Catania, who's from nearby Syracuse. Jacob Ruud's got local connections too, a recent graduate from the Rochester Institute of Technology. No such connections though for Garrett, and he doesn't care. He's going to spoil the homecoming if he can.
Yeah, it's only an 18-point lead, I believe, coming into today's race for Jacob Ruud. So if he could beat Ruud, that would obviously be a big cut into that margin.
Scroggin taking a peek around the outside of Gugliari there, has to settle back in line. A great scrap this is through the TCX field. Basically, it's the top 7 all running together.
Awesome stuff. As we say, pretty much identical BMW M2 CS Cup chassis here.
Jacob Ruud, Calvin, has jumped back to the front of the field, and Amanda's got more on him.
Well, and it might be actually the benefit of a Joker tire that was handed to Jacob Ruud and the team after the tire issues yesterday. They have elected to put that on the front left. Jacob said this morning he was hoping that that could give him some sort of advantage here in this race. And you mentioned that this is kind of like a homecoming for Jacob with going to school here. Well, him and his fiance have packed everything up this weekend, and they are headed west as she has accepted a job in Los Angeles. Also want to talk about Steve Strymer real quick. You were mentioning him. He won here last year year, and frankly said this morning this is his favorite track on tour. He's raced here a couple times, even back in the Trans Am days, but just a big smile with Steve Strymer kicking off this race, saying, I'd love to add another one to the collection.
Now he's got his hands full at the moment. Thank you, Amanda, because right behind him is Cugliari, who looked like he might have the pace to challenge for a podium early in this race. Got balked a little bit coming through the S's, and that cost him a great deal of momentum and ultimately that 4th position.
Yeah, and Scroggin's doing a nice job hanging tough with this these veterans in front of him, so he's having a big weekend. That Joker tire that Amanda is alluding to, because of the damage to one of the tires yesterday, you're limited in how many tires you can run per weekend. So obviously the team went to the series officials and said, listen, we cut down a tire yesterday, we need a replacement, otherwise we can't get through the race today. And that could be an advantage for him here.
Kevin Bohm has dropped another spot. Barbado in that purple, black, and white. Gin Racer Hyundai has been able to make his way around. Bohm trying to get the spot back with an aggressive look to the inside. Barbado, though, fends him off. Ibrahim in the brightly colored DRS with Garagistic car, currently in 3rd. Here comes Bohm again. We see him do this a lot, running outside of this slipstream, perhaps putting some pressure on, perhaps helping with the cooling of that vehicle.
Yeah, for sure, is a consideration as the temperatures are starting to ramp up here. Look at this little action here. Kevin Bohm hasn't finished off the podium yet this year, but certainly running in the 5th position. He needs to cut through some of these guys if he's going to extend that streak.
Bohm's the established veteran in this class relative to those he's racing around. For Ibrahim, last year was his first year in pro racing. Barbado burst onto the scene at IMS last year in the final races of the season and has announced himself as a contender. Bohm said after the race yesterday to finish 2nd was a remarkable achievement. The car just has not quite had the punch at Watkins Glen.
It's all about the car and time management and just making sure you score points here this weekend. If you don't have the sharpness in terms of the performance compared to some of the competitors, don't throw it all away, and that's where the savvy brain of Kevin Bohm comes into play.
This is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the TC class. This is the leader in TC, Clay Williams, who is all by his lonesome. He has built a lead of over 2 seconds in the first 9.5 minutes of this race. Looking to back up a race win yesterday with his 3rd of the season here today.
Look at this feisty little battle. Ibrahim looking to the inside on Jeff Ricker. Ricker really flies there through the inner loop.
Ricker and Barbado, they are teammates from the Gin Racer stable, but 2 different configurations of those Hyundais, one with a dual clutch, one with a traditional gearbox. As the development work continues, Jeff Rica has long been associated with Hyundai and has been doing a lot of development on their behalf of this TC spec car.
He works really hard. Real grinder both on and off the racetrack. But Ibrahim tucks the BMW in, trying to get that launch off of turn 7. Ricker defends, moves to the middle of the road. Boom's driven on every part of the racetrack here today, just exploring, getting some fresh air.
Oh, here's a move. Ibrahim on Rica trying to go the long way around. This is a tough corner, but he's able to maintain that momentum around the outside. Can he clear Rica before the high-speed turn 10? He cannot. They're going to be door-to-door through a high-commitment part of the racetrack.
Yeah, and that's going to give Ibrahim the inside line for that next one. I've got to be careful there if you come off that curb. His speed is going to be compromised. Watch for Bohm here, get a big run on all of these cars. Nowhere to go with it. Meeting the sandwich right now for Kevin Bohm.
This gaggle of TC cars, 2 abreast, 2 rows deep. Ibrahim and Rica still going at it, and Rica will take that spot back. And here comes Bohm, like you said, opportunistic. He saw a chance, and he's attacking Barbado now. Ibrahim working on Rica once again, and they make contact. Around goes Ibrahim, narrowly avoiding it. The spinning car was Barbado. He and Bohm made it by. This is going to be sketchy. Oh, and everyone makes it through cleanly.
Yeah, not often you see a car spin right there, and great evasive action by everyone in his class, and the TCA cars coming through as well. Let's take another look at it. Tucks it to the inside, got tight there with Ricker. Just got clipped and pinched and spins it around, and see Fukuda there doing a great job as well. Wow.
Hard in your throat stuff.
It's a shame he's having a big run there this morning.
Absolutely. I was about to point out that he had a career best finish of 3rd at NOLA in the first race there back in May. His first podium in professional racing, Matt Ibrahim, but was fighting for 2nd when that all went wrong. Back to the very front now, TCX, where Jacob Rude leads by 0.7 of a second. Lucas Catania still able to keep Colin Garrett at bay. And it looks like Scroggin had an issue on that lap, or at least lost a spot. Garrett Adams made the pass. That was for 6th that last time by.
Yeah, Catania's been so consistent this year. Hasn't yet scored a win, but been knocking on the door. Has had 5 podium runs. Always seems to be a contender every single weekend. Rude is not driving away here, so it's a very evenly matched field here this weekend. You have to wonder what Colin Garrett is feeling here. Long way to go in this race, still 26 minutes left of a 40-minute sprint.
Is the cooler weather an equalizer in any way? The hot temperatures may be exacerbating any performance issues you might have?
Yeah, it can be. It can be certainly an advantage for some, disadvantage for others. Really depends what you started the day with in terms of setup and if the track has moved in your direction or away from it. So just a little bit of subtle nuance to the track conditions certainly affect all of the competitors here. And that can be enough to get your car to victory lane or just miss out.
The continuing road racing education of Colin Garrett is occurring in front of our eyes, and he's been a quick study this season. The short track ace, former track champion at South Boston Speedway, the famed short track near VIR, but has a long-held love of road racing, and when this opportunity came up, he's reached up and grabbed it with both hands. Slow start to the season at Sonoma, but ever since then, he has been a contender, at least for a podium, if not a win.
I think the key for him is, as he gets racy here with Catania, I think Catania's getting a bit defensive. He's losing lap time and allowing Jacob Rude to stretch the gap at the front a little bit. So does he think, I've got enough time on the board just to run line astern here? Let's try and catch the leader back up and then go back on the attack.
Into the downhill braking zone for turn 1. He's close, but not close enough to make a move. 25 minutes on the clock, approaching the halfway mark already. And round number 8 of the season for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School.
Looks like he's just taking the pressure off here a little bit. Let Catania get back into his rhythm. I think these top 3 are so evenly matched in terms of their pace here today. Fastest lap is by Garrett at a 2:02.39, but just a few hundredths between the top 3 in terms of fast lap of the day.
Yeah, half a tenth between the top 3 and their best laps so far. Gresham Wagner is pulling out an advantage in TCA ahead of his teammate Anderson, who's had a nice charge through the field. Looks like Bucknam has lost a spot here in the last lap because Pericarpi has moved through. That was the winner from race 1 of the weekend yesterday, Christian Pericarpi, his first career win in pro racing.
Been a kind of feast or famine season for Gresham Wagner. Obviously seen victory lane many times, 3 wins on the year plus a runner-up finish, but he's had other races where he scored 0 points, so he needs to score the big points if he's going to try and catch Carter Fartuk in this championship.
It's the only thing that's kept him out of the championship, and it's not really been a lot of mistakes on Gresham's part, by and large. Some of it just comes down to racing luck. Carter has been so consistent. Maybe he hasn't had the race-dominating pace that Wagner has had from time to time, but he's been there at the end with greater frequency, and that makes a huge difference.
Bucknam started the year with 3 podium runs. He hasn't been outside the top 5 since. He's had pace, but can't seem to sort of push through and get that top spot.
23 minutes to go in this race. Third place running Christian Pericarpi, son of the team owner Louis Pericarpi. Let's hear more about him with Amanda.
Well, guys, I was able to catch with Christian Pericarpi this morning before he got suited up to get into this Mini, and just talked about yesterday in his win. It was an embrace and father and son in winner's circle yesterday that I hope everyone saw, because it was a moment to be had. They ended up celebrating yesterday evening over Mexican food, a favorite of Christian, and said that he most looks forward to getting back home to Indianapolis, where his mom and grandmother are waiting to celebrate that first win alongside him as well. We ended our conversation, and he said, "Amanda, I hope to be talking to you again at the end of the race today. So we'll need to make some moves to get to that top of the class, but you know he's thinking about it."
No doubt about it. Strong run to third for Christian Pericarpi. Told the story yesterday. He has been just hounding his father with requests. "I'd love to get in a car. Give me a chance. Give me a chance." They gave him a test. He did well. He jumped into the race car when they had a seat open last year for the Sebring races and promptly put it on the podium, and has not looked back since.
Here we go. Here's some traffic coming up ahead for these overall leaders, Ruud, Catania, and Garrett. Is this the opportunity for Garrett to make his move into P2 and chase down the leader?
Now, Catania was flirting with the edge of the racetrack there, kicked up a little bit of dust, and the traffic does him no favors here. It's one of the Brian Herta Autosport Hyundais, Tower Delgado, that they're coming through now. This is close.
You can see Catania there thinking about defending that inside line, trying to read what Colin Garrett was going to do.
Mike Lamara up ahead. That will be the next piece of traffic for them to work through. They make their way through the TCA field. This is about to get very, very busy, nearing the halfway mark in the race.
Yeah, just timing this run. Garrett there with a big, big exit speed coming off of turn 11, but he really doesn't have the momentum to get by Catania.
Catania goes defensive. Garrett moves to the outside, tries to roll the speed, but has to fall back in line. More out-of-class traffic up ahead to deal with.
This could be tricky. Catania's going to catch this traffic right in the middle of the S's.
This deep into the weekend with all the marbling, how sketchy is it offline through this part of the track?
You have to factor that in. Grip you thought was there yesterday may not be there today in terms of, you talked about it, the marbles off the circuit, off the line. Catania is doing a really big defensive job, and that is just hurting their speed in terms of catching Jacob Ruud. Bit of a conundrum here for Garrett. Does he put the pressure on and force his way through? I think he was willing to just settle back in, Ryan, and let both of them catch our leader, but Ruud looks in control right now.
Talked about the season that Catania has had, so consistent, so many times on the podium. Yesterday was the first time he has not finished in the top 4 all season long. This would match a season best should he finish here in the second spot. But of course, Colin Garrett's got other ideas.
His car looks to be working well, tucks the nose in nicely there through turn 7, trying to get the launch off of that corner, be in position here.
And Jacob Ruud loving every bit of this because, like you've said, Catania, when he elects to go defensive, that probably does cost him ultimate lap time and lets Ruud sneak away that little bit more.
Yeah, I think Garrett's just really trying to manage this race. I think he's got more pace than Catania. I think he's maybe got something for Jacob Ruud, but he's probably looking at the clock or asking his team to give him the countdown just past the halfway point. So he's being real easy on his tires, not sliding the car. Bit of clean air there, running down the middle of the road. Catania's team looking on here, trying to analyze what is going on. Do we have anything for the win here today? Can we break through and get that victory? That's going to be tough. But equally as important, can we hold on to this second position? Garrett seems a little bit quicker.
There was some tension on that pit box.
Yeah.
They're living and dying with every move that Lucas makes.
Here comes the opportunity once again for Colin Garrett. Traffic up ahead. Catania's hitting at just the right point so far. He really hasn't been stymied too badly.
This is a huge part of sports car racing. So much of it is multi-class, and how you deal with the race within a race, keeping in mind that the traffic you're catching, they've got fights of their own that matter for their own championships, and how you deal with one another can make all the difference.
Yeah, just getting into the rhythm. Sometimes it just seems you can't do anything right in terms of timing the traffic. Jacob Rude gets through there nicely. There's Gresham Wagner continuing to lead for Tech Sports at 1-2 right now. Anderson had 4 consecutive runner-up finishes coming into the race yesterday before his tire issues. He sits in 2nd place today.
Wagner's been really impressive, though, in his first season in the series. Came into the weekend 2nd in points. You mentioned all the wins, 3 of them so far. The reigning Mazda MX-5 Cup champion, won 5 races, 10 podiums in that series last year. And think about over the years what a proving ground the Mazda Miata and then MX-5 platform has been. It's launched so many careers.
It really has. I mean, if you can perform there, there's always competitive races in that championship. And if you can come out on top and dominate like he did, it typically leaps you up to the next level with a lot of confidence, and you've got speed to work with.
He's been a good fit this season. The Williamsburg, Virginia native, 24 years old, Gresham Wagner, with the Virginia-based team Tech Sport, and they're the ones doing a lot of the development, or effectively the lion's share of the development on that car on behalf of Subaru. It's been a strong season for that platform this year.
Look at this, Williams out front, but now Bohm is up to 2nd and only sits under 3 seconds back off the leader.
Wow.
So this is not over.
No, it is not. Kevin Bohm was dropping like a rock in the first half of this race. Was he just conserving that car?
Well, it looked like he's certainly trying to manage it in terms of keeping the temperatures low by where he was placing the car on the racetrack, but does he have any pace to go chase down the leader? Williams hasn't taken off here today, but maybe he's trying to manage this race as well in terms of not using all of his speed potential. I think for Bohm, he'll be happy that he's in clean air right now.
Kevin does a lot of the engineering on this car. His day job is serving as an engineer and test driver for Honda, their Marysville, Ohio facility. Evidently, due to the amount of time he has put into working on this car over the course of the year, the crew has started referring to him as a robot. Can't confirm or deny the validity of that claim.
His wife said that just plug him in at night and recharge his batteries.
But he does take that very analytical approach, not just to his work engineering the car, but his drives behind the wheel. We've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, he's super smart, and that will typically reward you with race wins and championships. Catania's been impressive here. Looked like once he cleared the attention of Garrett, he was getting a little bit more lap time out of that race car by not compromising his lines.
It's great to hear from Lucas and his dad yesterday in an interview that Amanda did with the pair of them. They go racing together. It truly is a family affair. His father, Joe, a little further down the order, back in 9th, but they love getting to swap stories at the end of the day, getting to share this experience together, father and son. But the son right now has his hands full. Colin Garrett as close as he has been with just 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, it could be go time. I may be reading too much into it, but I think Colin Garrett realized it is go time if he's going to chase down the leader here.
Any chance of a race win gets that bit more fleeting with each passing lap as he gets held up a little bit perhaps by Catania. It looks like he does have the ultimate pace, but can he find a way by? Catania has simply not cracked under pressure. He has been tremendous in his defense.
Yeah, but I think the intentions are ramping up here a little bit by Colin Garrett. He was thinking about trying to make an outside move into the inner loop, but the tires are still so strong, the grip is so strong, the entry speed is big, tough to make it stick.
Much to separate these two. This is the order they've been running in since the very early stages. Rude started on pole. He lost the lead, dropped back to 3rd, then stormed back to the front. Then we had a 5-way scrap for the top 5 positions for a lap or two, and ultimately this is the order that they've settled into.
We saw that change for the lead with Jacob Rude getting through. I'm not sure what happened to Garrett in that moment prior to that to really set that move up. And I assumed that he'd maybe be able to re-establish himself at the front, but certainly Catania's pace here this weekend has been impressive, and it's not been easy for Garrett to cut back through and chase after Jacob Rude.
Looking at these 3 cars in their last lap times, Garrett is the quickest of the 3. Catania gave up a couple tenths of a second to Garrett last time. And Rude somewhere slotted in between the two. Good enough to stay out in front. A lead of 1.6 seconds last time by.
Jacob's doing a nice job. I love the way he's responded to the extra challenge this year. You win a championship, dominated things. Cugliari, as we've said before, gave him a bit of a hard time at a couple of race weekends, but comes back this year and it's like, okay, rinse and repeat. Well, guess what? The competition is much tougher, it's much deeper, but I think he's liking that challenge, and I think long-term for his career and his speed is just going to improve and do great things for him.
Oh, disappointment here for Paracarpi. The report is a left front vibration on this Mini. This is the race winner yesterday. Disappointment in race 2.
Always a concern on this high-speed circuit. You get that vibration. Is it a tire about to let go? So it looks like they're going to play it safe and bring him in and check it out.
And this is going to be information that reverberates throughout the pit lane, because we did have some left front issues yesterday. First one perhaps emerging, we're not sure. It could have been a mechanical, but I guarantee everyone up and down the pit lane is going to be letting their drivers know, hey, manage those tires. You still have 12 minutes to go. This race isn't even 3/4 of the way done yet.
Yeah, and I think with this cloud cover, you believe that the conditions were a little bit easier on the tires than yesterday, where we had a lot more sunshine beating down on the racetrack.
These two are closer than they have been in quite a while. I've been watching lap times from Kevin Boehm and Clay Williams over the last few laps, and Boehm has had the edge. Williams is dropping off the pace a little bit, and that has let Boehm close in.
Yeah, I think Williams responded on the last lap. He knows that the potential is there for Boehm to get to his rear bumper.
But now, can he do anything about it? It very well could have been that Clay Williams simply was conserving that car in case the challenge arrived late in the race. Smart young driver, Clay Williams. He's been one of the breakout performers of the season.
Boehm's right there, though. I'm seeing those brake lights flicking. I'm sure if he's a left foot braker and just touching the brakes, he's coming through there.
I had the same thought. Here we go again for second overall and in TCX. Catania's got it. Garrett would love to take it away. He is close through the S's. Can he time this run?
It's tough. I think Catania's immediately going to go to the right-hand side as he escapes the S's here and position that race car to make him go the long way around. It's just tough to get enough of momentum here and clear the car by the time you get to the turning point.
This is as close as Garrett has been. Catania does guard the inside jealously, and it simply does not give Garrett an opportunity to get past. But Catania on power down. You saw the rear of that car start to slide out. Perhaps the tires and the handling going away a little bit for the second place car.
Well, you compromise your entry there, and that just catches up with you the deeper you get into the inner loop. But he controlled it nicely by not washing out wide as you get into that carousel turn before you hit the chute there. So he is managing this race brilliantly from a defensive driving standpoint. Once again, being proactive, establishing where he wants to put his race car and not reacting. Stewards will be looking at it, but I don't see anything that he's doing wrong right now.
It's pretty clear in the rule book. You can make the first move, but you cannot move in reaction. This is about to get tight. Catania covering off the inside. Now he'll have to stay there as Garrett makes the swing to the outside once again.
I think Garrett went earlier on than he did, but it was just a subtle drift over to the right-hand side for Catania. Nothing too abrupt. Just really, time is running out for Colin Garrett, and I think Jacob Rude is escaping and probably got enough of a margin here.
When does the short track instinct come out and the bumper come into play?
Sometime in the next 9 minutes.
I think you're right. I'd be surprised. And not in a
Runs
malicious
clean,
way, exactly.
No, he's done a great job of keeping it clean despite his background when you'd think it would be easy for him to start to lean on cars.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what you learn in short track racing, is how to do that in a way that is not going to ruin the race for the other guy. You have to get used to racing in close quarters at South Boston in Virginia and some of the other short tracks where Colin Garrett cut his teeth. We've seen him put that experience to use in touring car racing this year.
Well, Lucas has done a great job here. Just really managed this race superbly well. It's not easy for this many laps to keep putting the car in exactly the right place. Not like he's parking the car and losing ultimate lap time by seconds, but just feel that's costing him a few tenths, and this is where Garrett's going to get pretty feisty here, I feel. He realizes, listen, the lead is just streaking away here. Let me go. But Catania's saying, no way.
Well, and think about how close the championship is between Ruud and Garrett. And even if he can't chase Ruud down, the difference between second and third in points, it's a pretty big margin. So, yeah, that spot is a big one as we look at heartbreak for Spencer Bucknam. He's got to make the call to the pit lane with an apparent issue.
And front once again as we're getting deeper into this race. So there's definitely a bit of vulnerability there with the high lows that you have through these long duration corners, putting all of the load on the left side typically.
Jeff Rika also shown as being in the pit lane. He had been running up towards the front in the TC class, so several teams with some late race dramas. In TCA, the effect of that is to boost Carter Fartuck now up into third. These are the kinds of runs he has had this year. Some races, the car's been very strong, and he's capitalized on those days. Other days, he's simply kept his head down, and as others have dropped by the wayside, he's been able to notch good results.
Yeah, I think the key for the Tech Sport team right now, Wagner and Anderson, big gap to the rest of the pack here. Running 1-2, just manage things, just really cool things off, try and get these cars to the finish and have a brilliant run.
It has been a brilliant run to this point for Gresham Wagner, for Devin Anderson, and the entire Tech Sport team. But we learned yesterday that can go away and in a hurry with some bad luck.
Key for the race leader is saying, okay, I can do that, but make sure you send the best message back to my teammate. I want to give up this lead here if he's not getting the same message, and try and chase me down.
Let's hear more on this story of the tire wear with Amanda.
Yeah, gentlemen, I just want to show you what happened with Jeff Ricka's tire. You can see a whole chunk of it missing out of here. They did replace that left front. As we whittle down to the minutes left in this race, we've had a couple cars already come into pit lane to change that left front. Could get dicey, as you guys are saying, as we count down to the rest of this race.
Yeah, thanks very much, Amanda. As we've said several times, this track, it's just going to put a load on the tires. High speed, high duration corners, and very grippy surface. It's part of the challenge of coming to Watkins Glen. Here is Garrett, close, but is he close enough? This is the best look he has had at Lucas Catania. Once again, Catania mounting the defense to the inside. Garrett waiting to sweep to the outside. Now he does so, flashing the headlights, and again his attempt is rebuffed.
Got to be so careful. Always a little bit loose there coming off. Just try to squeeze on the power, maybe thinking about a move to the inside for the brake zone there. 4 turn 9, and the 33 car is off.
That's Tyler Delgado in
podium
the tire
run yesterday.
barrier. Yes, he did. It was a great effort. It's been a challenging season. Does have some damage. Let's see what happened here. Oh, and this is right by a battle for the lead in TC as well. Just as that was happening, Bohm and Williams going side by side. I'm not sure we know, now we do, how that has sorted itself out. Kevin Bohm has driven to the front.
Wow. Wow, what management of this race for him. It looked like car involved there in turn 1 and just almost ran over the Mini in front of him.
Another interesting fight here. Carter Fartuck in the lead car in this pair. Mike Lamara behind, running in 4th. Now we look back. This is Williams and Bohm side by side, running up on Xiaoyi Che into the inner loop.
Wow, looks like Williams' pace has dropped dramatically.
Yep.
It was too easy for Kevin Bohm to make that move, unless there's something adrift with a Mini.
That's bringing Nicholas Barbato into the mix now. You saw him looming in the background, the primarily white with purple and black accents on his Hyundai. Now in 3rd place.
Wild race once again. We saw some drama yesterday. Same thing today. Barbato's right there. So Rick has had his issues, but the other Hyundai is doing well. Podium run potential.
Absolutely.
He's a lot of the road there. You really play chicken with that outside wall as you come through turn 11.
We've seen a couple cars smack it over the course of the weekend. Oh, it looks like PJ Gronke heading down the pit lane. In the background of that shot, we saw the issue for the 1 Mini already, and now PJ Gronke into the pits also.
Was that the car that Delgado nearly went over with that PJ in the mix there as we saw the cars coming down into turn 1 when Delgado?
Yeah, you might be right. Here it is. The battle for second overall continues. Catania, what a great piece of driving he has done, fighting a rear guard action for the bulk of this race.
This is where Garrett needs to time it. Just get out wide, just time that crossover. He looks to the outside, it's going to be tough from there.
Yeah, now he's got to carry a ton of speed to be able to stay side by side, running the outside lane, and he simply can't do it. Catania fends him off again.
He needs to rethink his strategy there. Maybe just get wide, just time it. Let Catania be compromised with his run through turn 1 and try and just really scream the exit coming off.
Here we go again. We've seen this a few times, rinse and repeat, and Catania simply has not given in to the pressure. He knows where to place that car to make it difficult, nigh on impossible, for Garrett to make the pass.
You just gain confidence when you're keeping someone behind you for so long. You feel invincible in terms of, I'm going to stay here for the rest of this race, and it's just allowed Jacob Ruud to do his thing up front.
Took the words out of my mouth. Ruud has been able to sprint away a 3.3 second lead. You see him come through the shot. Wow, what a save from Garrett.
This car is definitely loosening up here a little bit at the end of this race. Rear-wheel drive BMWs, of course. Trying to get the power down a little bit earlier, losing the back end, stepping out.
As much as we've talked about conserving over the past 20 minutes or so, I don't think there's any conservation here in this fight for second. Certainly not from Colin Garrett.
Well, let's see what happens here. So the gap is there between he and Catania as he swings wide a little bit once again. But maybe this will time the run a little bit differently down the front stretch and allow him to run a more normal line through that first corner and give him a run through the S's. But this is also going to allow Catania maybe run the normal line as well, because the gap is bigger than it's been all race long.
It'll be the white flag this time by the way, in TC, Barbado did get by Williams, so second and third changing hands. But the white flag waves over Watkins Glen. Jacob Ruud just 11 corners, 3.37 miles, separating him from another win in the TCX class.
There it is. Catania is able to get that speed through turn 1. So Garrett not quite as close, but coming from a little bit further back, does that change things?
He's closing, and he's closing quickly. Did he time this run to perfection? He's been able to pull alongside Catania, entering the inner loop a couple of times so far in this race. Catania not as defensive this time. He feels secure in that position. Now he weaves down to the middle of the road. Right behind him, Garrett continuing to thrust his way forward, trying to find a path through, but Catania has closed off all the gaps.
He's just been that half step ahead of the moves that Colin Garrett is trying to make. Beautiful defensive driving here by Catania.
Once again, guards the inside. This is the run into the boot. Garrett tries to float the outside, just can't get it to stick. Not enough traction out there for him to work with. This might be his next best chance.
Okay,
Set him up through here.
Yeah, he's got to just run out a little bit wide and just time the exit, try and get his car to the right earlier.
He's peeking out to the right.
No, it just wasn't quite there.
Breaking the slipstream, Catania inside, back to the outside for the preferred entry into this corner. Last time through, the heel of the boot. For second place, Lucas Catania keeping yesterday's winner, Colin Garrett, at bay, but he slips wide for the first time. He gives up a gap, and Garrett is going to force his way inside.
But Catania's got the run. He got the power down a little earlier, had his hands open. That allows him the exit speed.
This won't be done until they take the checkered flag. Out in front for the 5th time this season, Jacob Ruud will take fast track racing to victory lane. He wins race 2 at Watkins Glen. In the sprint to the checkered flag, we look for that battle for second, and it will be Catania holding off Colin Garrett in a thrilling battle for the final 2 steps of the podium.
That was fantastic racing between those two, Catania and Garrett. Great job, guys. Awesome.
Phenomenal stuff in TCX. Ruud, Catania, Garrett. Strymer comes home in 4th. Now we drop back and check in with Kevin Boehm, who was running as far back as 5th in this race and has come on strong as the race has played out. In front of him is the leader in TCA, Gresham Wagner. So the TC and TCA leaders running together, and neither under any appreciable pressure.
Yeah, for Boehm, he was struggling to keep the car in the top 5 there at one stage. Just beautifully managed race by him. For Gresham Wagner, Ian Anderson looks like a Tech Sport 1-2 in TCA. Williams' car obviously something adrift with that car. He headed back off the pace there in the final part of this race, so disappointment for the mini team.
Kevin Boehm, the championship leader in the TC class. It's been a dominant season so far. Salvaged a 2nd place finish yesterday in adverse conditions. Raced his way to the point and is 1 turn away from his 6th win on the season. Gresham Wagner right behind, looking for win number 4 and 5th podium of the year. Kevin Boehm wins for the 6th time in TC America, and Gresham Wagner scores the win in TCA, his 4th of the campaign.
It was a fun one. Lots going on.
As ever. That's what you come to expect from TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. 3 highly competitive classes, 3 great races, all in the span of 40 minutes.
This racetrack and the conditions certainly a big challenge here this weekend.
Yeah, that is true. Mother Nature with a bit of a reprieve for us today. Temperature's not quite so high. The humidity is up, however. There is a chance for some rain later on in the day that could affect the proceedings, but will have no impact on this race. Taking a look at some of the cars as they come back around on the cool-down lap. Colin Garrett, what an effort he gave it. It is the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race at 2:02.399, but just not quite enough to get by Catania, who, to my eye, made one little slip-up, but was able to salvage it. Really impressive.
Colin Garrett got to the inside there, got the elbows out a little bit, but I think just with his hands being tight there, he couldn't get on the power as soon as Catania did, and that gave Catania the run into turn 10.
Yeah, you can see the smile through the helmet there for Jacob Ruud. Yesterday was a tough day, but he kept his head clear when things didn't go his way. And when fortune broke in his favor, he was able to salvage 2nd. He dropped back early in this race, similar attitude, didn't let it get to him, raced his way back to the point, and ultimately won by 5.3 seconds over Catania and Garrett. A little further down, Kevin Boehm, Barbado, Williams does come home with another podium, despite leading most of the race. It'll be disappointed not to come away with more, but it appeared that car might have been ailing late in the going. Pombo and Fukuda completing the top 5 in the TC class. Looking down the order, Gresham Wagner, another great result in TCA, and for Tech Sport a 1-2. Wagner and Anderson, that is fantastic.
They've had the pace all weekend, had those tire issues yesterday, did a nice adjustment overnight, we assume, to let the car survive the heat of the battle here today.
The only bad news for Tech Sport is the man that they're chasing in points still had a decent day, all things considered. Carter Fartuck, despite not having the ultimate pace this weekend, comes away, at least in race 2, with a 3rd.
Yeah, and that's big for the championship. Those are the days you just got to dig deep, try and get as much out of it as you can, and that's what Carter is doing right now.
Phenomenal stuff from TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Let's go down to Victory Lane with Amanda Busick.
Well, Jacob, you had the adversity today. You bounce back here and get the win. The guys were talking about the composure that you have as a driver. With the scuffle at the beginning of the race, back into 3rd position, you found yourself back to the front. How'd you do it?
Well, you know, it's a long race. 40 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but it is actually a lot of time. There's a lot of laps and a lot of corners to pass people on, and you know, I saw those guys fighting in front of me and saw an opportunity happen and just went for it and was able to make it stick. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Really well done. And he heads to his real home track. Kind of claims this one as a graduate, as we mentioned, of Rochester Institute of Technology, but the real home track of Road America coming up next for TC America. We're going to head to the month of August, and I know that's a special one for him. And look at the emotion. Never seen a robot show that much emotion, Calvin. That's good stuff.
Must have got overcharged last night.
Calvin Bohm gets it done. Second yesterday, and from 5th to 1st in the race here today. Remember, got a great start, got up to 3rd, and then just was dropping back. And when it mattered most, he found the pace.
Yeah, just managed it beautifully.
That he did. Big smile on his face. This is going to be a fun one. Let's hear from Kevin Bohm with Amanda.
Well, Kevin, you've told us in a couple of these winter interviews this year how hard you've had to fight to get to this position. You were down in 5th today, made it to 1st. How hard was this one?
Well, I mean, you don't really go into many races thinking that you don't have a chance to win. And today, I really honestly was just trying to get to the podium. And I was going to be really happy if we could do that. And it's just sometimes the race goes your way, just not even in all one moment, but just little moments at a time. Just you get breaks, and there was a lot of just being in the right place at the right time, but we just had a really great car on top of it to kind of put us in position to get lucky. So yeah, I can't thank the Skip Barber Racing team enough for prepping the car all weekend, CrowdStrike, AWS, getting here, and I'm so happy to get them on the top step again today.
He's got a stranglehold on the championship now, that's for sure. It's going to take a big effort from someone to knock him off his perch. As close as he came a year ago, it looks like he's learned a lot of lessons, and that championship, it's still a long way to go, admittedly. 6 races left on the schedule, but yeah, he seems to have it lined up right where he wants it.
He does. Just managed that beautifully, it was said today, and big lead to work with. So he'll manage the championship from this point forward, but you never know what can happen. Drama's just around the corner.
Exactly so. It was a 1-2 for Tech Sport. Let's hear from the TCA winner.
And the teammates were just celebrating down here in Grisham from the tire issue yesterday, the bad wreck at VIR. You're back on the top set. How important was you to find this achievement for yourself personally?
It's just getting back on track. You know, we had a couple bad races there. Could have won VIR, been on the podium. Should have been on the podium yesterday. So to finally just get a result again, it's great. And you know, it's a lot of hard work from Tech Sport, from K1 Race Gear and Redline, and my crew chief Brendan, to just you know, keep doing what we do. And you know, I'm glad to get a win again.
Enjoy the celebration.
Impressive young man. His resume speaks volumes, but you know, every time you make a step into a different car, little step up, I think it's safe to say, you never quite know what you're going to get, but he has been excellent all season. Highlights from race 2 of the weekend, race 8 of the championship. This was the initial start. Jacob Root on the pole overall, but he lost that spot here. Garrett went to the front. Catania went ahead as well, but Root kept a clear head.
He really did. Waited for the opportunity, and when he had it, he pounced and got the lead back.
Here we go. Great fights in TCA. This is Wagner on Buckdom. Close quarters racing into the inner loop.
Yeah, what a battle that was, and for Gresham Wagner to get back onto the top step, big day for him.
Eric Harpy lurking in the background, but unfortunately both he and Bucknam had some misfortune deeper into the race. This was a big moment here. This is how Root got back to the front, and crucially, how Catania got around Garrett. He would stay there the rest of the race. Scary moment here for Matt Ibrahim. He was challenging for second at the time, one of his best drives of his young career, but he goes around after the contact, and then this is the duel that had us enraptured all race long.
Yeah, it was a wonderful battle. Great defensive driving there by Lucas Catania, and on the last lap it got even closer.
Jacob Root comes away with win number 6 on the season. Great day for him. Kevin Bohm, another race win too, and Gresham Wagner gets it done for Tech Sport, leading home a 1-2 result in the TCA class. Fun weekend of racing at Watkins Glen, and from one classic venue to another. Next we head to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin and Road America. Hope you join us there for the next round of TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School Series.